So we are doing our very first tutorial. Now I know I did a tutorial on how to make those little candy cane things last year, but that wasn't like an actual tutorial. Like it had no measurements, it had like no numbers. This is my first real one. So be nice in the comments. And if you're not nice, you'll get blocked anyway, but be nice. I haven't had to block anyone, thank God. Okay, so we are gonna make this suitcase because we are having a swap, girls. We are having a travel swap. And we are all gonna package our stuff in a suitcase because we're going on a trip. We're going on a girls' trip. So I am gonna show you how to create this. This one, it's not gonna be this one. We're gonna use different paper. This one is actually going in the mail, but I wanted to show you what it's gonna look like once we're all done. So it's gonna be a suitcase. It is going to measure, after it's all said and done, it's gonna be about 9 inches wide by 8 inches tall. And it's gonna be, how tall is it gonna be? About 2.5 inches. And we are gonna have a little Velcro or magnetic, if you're fancy, closure. And we are gonna line the inside with pretty paper. And this is also gonna help with stability because we do not want anything breaking in transit. So we have a nice sturdy box. We're not using chipboard, we're just using cardstock. We are gonna use 110-pound cardstock for our base, and then the rest is just regular old cardstock. So again, be gentle. This is my first time, but we are gonna get through this, okay, girls? I am gonna speed up or skip. We'll see what I know how to do because I have never really edited for real. So we're either going to speed it up or we're going to, go forward, but I'm going to give you everything you need to know. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And not only are we going to do this, but we are going to do a craft along for this swap. So in about 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to give everybody enough time to choose their paper, order it if you need to. We're going to get on a live on a Friday night and we're going to make one of these boxes together. So that way you can ask all your questions live. We can have fun. I've been telling Mika I'm too crazy to go live, but we're going to try it. Okay, guys, we're going to go live. So it should be super fun. And I'm going to make another one. So I'm going to make one now for this tutorial. We'll make another one in the craft along. And this one is going out to a lucky recipient. So enough talking. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is, of course, we're going to need our paper trimmer. So this is going to be something that we're going to create with no dies. And this is not... there's a million suitcases on YouTube. Do not mind my scoreboard. It is well loved. But the tutorial that this was specifically modeled after is by Helen Griffin. I will link it in the description bar below. But hers was small and she used dies. So I wanted to create something that had that kind of a look, but was something that people did not have to go out and buy a special die for. So we're going to definitely need our scoreboard. I also use a tiny scoreboard for when I'm doing small things. We're going to need glue, or maybe we're going to need double-sided tape, depends on you. We need something to like varnish our stuff. Yeah, and we need a ruler. I am also using goodies here. I'm using my 3D project from a spring swap as my cup holder today. And we're going to probably need just the normal stuff, glue, scissors, that kind of stuff. Okay, no more talking. Let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to need, and I'm going to put all of the measurements in the description bar, but the first thing you're going to need is your base. So we are going to use 110-pound cardstock for our base. Now, Joann is no more. That's where we used to buy ours. I'm going to be using Basil paper, which is really good. It's actually 100-pound. It's not 110. But I swear it's thicker than the 110 at other places because this thing is hard to fold. So we're going to need 2 sheets of paper, and the paper that we're going to use is going to be 12 by 11. I did put the width first on all of my measurements just in case you're using directional paper, which will come into play when we're decorating later. But we are going to cut our paper. So we're going to basically cut 1 inch off of one of the sides of our 12 by 12 paper. So we're going to need 2 sheets of 12 by 11, and we're going to score at 1/4 and 1 1/2 on all 4 sides. So it really doesn't matter where you start. We're going to score it on all 4 sides. So let's do that. And yeah, okay. This is like scary because I'm going to be crafting on camera. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, I'm okay. Believe me, I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, this paper is super duper thick, so I always score twice. So we're gonna score at 1/4. Can you see the 1/4 right here? Let me actually stop. Okay, so we're gonna score right here. We're gonna score at 1/4, and we're gonna score at 1 1/2, just in case I have a weird accent, or you know, or you're from another country and you don't speak English. I'm just gonna try to do it. I watch a lot of Pink Strawberries. Do you guys watch her? And she always writes it down on her paper, because a lot of people that watch her stuff don't speak English. Okay, so we're gonna do 1/4 on all 4 sides. We're gonna turn it again. We're gonna keep rotating it every 90 degrees. This part, so far so good. And then the last side. And here. Okay, so we're gonna do this twice, okay? And via movie magic, I've already done that to my other sheet of paper, which I have over here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, so we have 2 of these, okay? So we have the one we just did, and then we have my one that I did in advance. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna score. We scored this. Sorry, we're going to fold our paper first. I find that it's better to fold it before you do the cutting that we're going to do next, because I don't know. I feel like folding, like scoring and folding first before you cut. I don't know. Just for me, it just makes it easier for me to see where to cut. So this paper is hard to fold. So I usually just like kind of try to convince it to do what I want. And then when you're folding a long thing like this, I usually start from the middle, because otherwise it gets crooked. So we're gonna just fold and score. Okay, so we scored this one, and we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do the small scores first, because I feel like they're the hardest, and the bigger folds are a little easier. And then we're gonna start from the middle, and we're gonna push outwards. I learned this from like an album maker, because the album making girls are like serious about their scoring. So I just kind of do like a pretend score, because this paper is super thick. I have never used paper that is more like stiff than Basil. The Basil 100 pound, I don't know. Like the 110 at like Joann or Hobby Lobby, like I use those all the time, and it's not this hard, but this one is tough, even though it's only supposed to be 100. So I don't know. I got a bunch of this on clearance at Joann. So I'm so happy to be using it. And actually this color, in case you're wondering, is called Cotton Candy. And I found it and bought a bunch of it for things such as this. Okay, did I score all 4 of them? Yes, I did all 4 sides. So now I'm gonna go and score the bigger fold. So I'm gonna score at the 1 1/2 on each side, because for me that's an easier fold. I feel like you're more likely to get it crooked on that smaller one, so that's why I like to fold that one first. And then we're gonna fold and score here. When you guys are watching tutorials, do you like when people speed up this part? I don't. I like to see this part. I like to see how other people craft. I've actually never watched myself craft either, because I've never filmed a tutorial, so this will be interesting and entertaining for us both. And I usually use this is a Teflon phone folder, and I've had it forever. It still works wonderfully. I did buy the set at Michael's, but I think those are like made out of plastic, so I don't feel like they work as well. Eventually you do start to get little like things right here. Do you see? Like right around here, and then if that gets too bad, you'll have to replace it, but it's a workhorse. Okay, so we have now scored and folded everywhere, right? So now the next thing we're gonna do this 2 times, right? Because remember, we need to have 2 of these, exactly the same. So I have my other one over here. Now what we're gonna do next is we are gonna cut off like the 1/4 inch score line on just the corners. Something else that I wanted to mention, this is not the time to use like raggedy 110 paper. So like the cardstock at Michael's, no bueno. Like if you fold it, it's gonna rip. So try to use good quality heavyweight paper. So the Joann Park Lane works really well. I haven't used the Michael's one that much, but I would think that their regular works well. And I also like to use solid core paper for this too, because if it's white, it's more likely to crack, and also you're gonna see a little white thing here. Okay, that's all. Okay, so now anyway, back to what we were saying. We're gonna cut off just this little area right here. And I drew a picture. Well, I drew the lines on mine so that you'll know. So this is the area that we're gonna cut off. We're basically gonna cut off this little 1/4 inch square on all 4 sides, right? And then on one of the 12-inch long, because remember this is 11 by 12, so this side is 11 inches, this side is 12 inches. On one of the 12-inch sides, on each of these, we're gonna also cut off the whole 1/4 inch score line strip. Okay, so we're gonna cut, so everywhere where you see black is what we're gonna cut off. So we're gonna cut off this, we're gonna cut off this all the way to here, and then we're gonna cut off right here. And I'm gonna just do this on camera the first time, and then I'll pause for the second time. So I'm gonna use my scissors here, and I just cut off. I find it easier to just kind of cut this whole thing in this direction, and then turn it and cut all the ones in this direction. So, then we're gonna go over here. And actually, normally I don't use this scissors. Sorry. I hate using big scissors for smaller jaws, so I usually use the medium ones for this. I have all 3 of these sizes, highly recommend. Okay, this is better. All right, so then we're gonna go up to here. This one we're gonna cut all the way. So then I would switch scissors. I do this in real life, guys. And let me just take my time because I'm getting nervous. Then my paper is gonna be all crooked. And I mean, this is gonna end up being a glue tab, so it's not a huge deal if it's not in. You know, you don't cut it perfectly straight, but we like to put our best foot forward when we're creating, especially when we're gonna give it to other people, right? I'm not giving this to anyone. This is probably not the collection I'm actually gonna use for my actual swap. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll give it away in a giveaway. And these are so cute. Like these could be, I mean, we're using these for a swap, but if you're watching this video later on, or you're watching this video and you're not a swapper, you could also make this to put like little gifts in, little birthday gifts. Video games for kids would fit in there. I'm a boy mom, so my brain is always on video games. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So we cut off all these little pages right here. And then, so we're gonna do that one more time. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause, and then I'm gonna come back with it already done. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're all set. We cut our thing. Two things that I wanna make sure I mention. Number one, do not just guess on which side is the 11-inch side and which side is the 12-inch side, because they are so close together that you could end up cutting the wrong side. So I wanted to remind you that we do wanna, like, I would like to take my scoreboard out real quick, and I was like, okay, wait a minute, is this the 12-inch side? Yes, okay, so this is the side that I wanna cut off, because this is the tab that you're cutting off up here, right? So we're gonna do that twice. So we did that twice. Okay, so we are good. And now what we wanna do next is we wanna free and miter our tabs. So basically, I'm gonna this is the 12-inch side, I'm gonna rotate it so that I'm on the 11-inch side. And all we're gonna do here is we wanna just like free these tabs because we wanna be able to fold them. So I'm just gonna cut there, and then I'm gonna miter it too while I'm here. Just so that it won't be, you know, it'll be easy when we're getting ready to fold it. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna just free it on one side here. And then I'm gonna miter it. And then I'm gonna turn it, flip it, and do to the other side. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm just gonna miter both sides. Easy peasy. And then we're gonna do the last tab over here. And we're gonna miter here and miter here, okay? Okay, so we're good. So we have our little pieces here, and we're gonna do the same thing on this one. So I won't, maybe if I get fancy, I'll record how we do this. Otherwise, you're just watch me do it one more time just in case. So again, we're turning it around the 11-inch side, and we are going to cut right there. Then we're gonna also miter this side. This just makes it so that, you know, it doesn't stick out on the inside. And then we're gonna cut over here and do that, and then do this. Okay, and those little pieces. And then we're gonna flip this around. And we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna miter here. And then the last one over here again. And over here. Okay. So now we have our tabs ready to go. They're gonna be easy for us to glue or tape, whatever you decide that you wanna use. But we have this done, and we remember we also removed this little 1/4 inch. So on this side, we still have it. We still have this extra little tab here, but on this side, it's removed. Okay, then my little directions here, myself and my little notes here. Okay, so when we cut this to be 11 by 12, you should have been left with a little 1-inch square. A 1-inch rectangle. Mine still has the branding strip. This is the paper that I'm using, just so you guys know. I think I said it was called cotton candy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these little slivers that we had left, and we're gonna trim it down so that it's 8 3/4 by 1 inch. And I have already done that. So I have this here. I cut off the little branding strip. So it's 1 inch now, and it's by 8 3/4 inches wide. And you know what? I did say that the width was going to be first. So really this should be, I mean, it doesn't matter because this paper is not directional, but just in case, I did say I wanted to do the width first. So we're going to do 8 3/4 by 1 because this is actually the width and this is the height. Okay, so I mean, it's the same thing, but just in case. So we have one of these. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to actually score it along the 1/2 inch line. So we're basically going to fold it in half. So we're going to go on our scoreboard. We're going to put it right here. And I've already done this, but I'm just going to show you here. You're going to go right here at the 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score right here. Remember twice because this is our 110. So this is our thick cardstock. And then we're going to fold this. And we're going to burnish it, right, with this. And then, let me take this off. So now we have our little folded piece. And then we're also going to go ahead and miter this as well, just, you know, so we don't have any problems. So we're just going to cut a little piece off there. And this is not exact. So now you kind of have something, and we're going to actually use this as a hinge to connect our two pieces. So along the side that we cut right here, our little 1/4 side that we cut. So what we're creating now is the base of our box. So we're actually, this is the 1/4 inch, the side that's missing that little tab is the back, and then the front is the one that still has it. So basically this is this top part right here like this. And then this other one is like the bottom turned upside down. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our hinge, which we have right here, and we're gonna use it to attach these two together. Now, I already put double-sided tape on here, but if you wanna use glue, you can. I put tape and glue, so you're gonna just take off one side of this tape. And then I like to sometimes also put like some glue here too, just so I know that I'm good. Yeah, I hope I'm staying in frame. I think I am. Sometimes I put glue on there too, just to give myself a little bit of time so that doesn't stick immediately. So what you're gonna do is you don't wanna cover the score line. So let me see if I can just like zoom in. So if you can see here, you see my little score line? You wanna put the paper like right next to the score line. So we want to just, and it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up on this part. We just want to put it like next to it. Doing tutorials is hard, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of like lift this up a little, and I just want it to be like next to the score line, not directly on it. So a way you could also do that is if you have it folded, and then you just kind of stick it in there. If you're using glue, this is a lot easier, but since I use double-sided tape, it's a little bit harder. So that's what we want to do, and then we want to just press that down. Okay, so this is good on here, right? And then we want to attach this other side. So we're going to just take this off, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue. And if I was not on video, I would be like so like, you know, super mega neat with my glue, but I don't want this video to be 100 years long. So now here, we do want to make sure that these two lines right here line up. So again, I don't want to go on my score line if possible. I want to go next to it. So like kind of like right about there, and then I'm gonna line up my bottom too, but not go. So you're gonna have a little bit of a space. There's a little space in between here, and that's just because I don't want to fold right on my score line. So now we're gonna just press that. So we still should be able to bend relatively easily. And just to make sure of that, I like to just like kind of close this up a little bit. Because you do still want to be able to bend here. So I just do that. Just so that I make sure that I can still bend it here, okay? Because we're gonna need this. This is gonna open in this direction, this way. So we wanna make sure that we can kind of, so I usually just bend both sides just to make sure that I'm good, okay? So now I know that my suitcase is gonna be able to open. All right, so now we have our hinge right here. I'm going to turn it this way just to make sure you can see what we're doing here. I feel like it's kind of shadowed a little bit, but I don't know how to fix that. Sorry. So yeah, okay, so this is our hinge right here. Okay, now while it's still flat, I feel like this is a good time now for us to adhere our exterior mats, because I rather do it while it's flat. So these measurements, like I said before, are in the description bar, but I have already pre-cut mine. So you're gonna need, for your exterior mats, you're gonna need 2 sheets of paper that is 8 3/4 by 7 3/4. The width is 8 3/4, so it's 8 3/4 this way, and the height is 7 3/4. And I put the width and the height just in case. Like I use directional paper on purpose here, just because I wanted you to see, but then on the bottom I didn't want to use up my pretty pattern paper, so I'm just using like a pink paper on the bottom because you're not really going to be able to tell. But this is just going to be matting, like a matte layer for this. Okay, you're also going to need 2 strips that are 8 3/4 by 1 1/8 and 4 strips that are 7 3/4 by 1 1/8. And I drew these little arrows just so that if your paper is directional, you make sure that the top, you know, is facing this way. Then you're also gonna need 1 sheet that is 8 3/4 by 2 1/2. Okay, so these are our exterior mats. So there are mats that are gonna go on the outside of our box. So, okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is, I put double-sided tape on the back of these. That's just what I like to use because I don't want the paper to get like lumpy, you know? So what I'm gonna do is, I clipped it out, but I put down my top mat. For my bottom mat, I didn't want to use my nice paper, so I just did pink, because it's just gonna go on the bottom underneath here. So, and if you look at my Easter thing, the top is pretty, and on the bottom I just did like pink paper, solid colored paper, and then on here I do have directional paper on the top and along the sides. So you want to make sure that you're always checking and double checking that your paper is in the right direction. So what you want to do is you want to pretend like fold this up and then look at it and be like, okay, my paper, the top needs to be this way, but when I fold the bottom, the top needs to be up here, right? So when you are doing the top of your suitcase, the top of your paper, if it's directional, should be toward the top. So like, see how my arrow is going this way? And then on these two, I would want it to be going this way. And on the front one, I would want it to make sure that it's going this way. So you want to make sure, because then when this folds, it'll be in the right direction. But when you flip this over and you're doing the bottom, now on the bottom here, the bottom mat doesn't matter, but if your paper is directional on the sides, now instead of being for the top going toward the center, it's actually going to go away from the center. So when we get to like this one, instead of going this way, it's actually going to go away from it. That way when it folds up, it's in the right direction. Okay, so just check and double check. I made it easy for this tutorial because I knew I would probably mess it up, but when I did my Easter box, I was a little more ambitious, and I did have directional paper, and I was able to manage doing it right by the skin of my teeth, okay? Okay. So, so let's mat this paper, and maybe I'll figure out a way to speed this up. So I'll just do this on camera just in case, you know, because I know, you know, some people are visual. So the longer strips are going to be along, you know, our longer side, and our shorter strips are going to be along our shorter side. So let me just, I'll do this on camera, but I will speed this part up. Because I know for some people it can get boring. This kind of stuff is not boring for me. I love seeing people mat projects. I know a lot of times when people do tutorials, they cut this part out, but I do not like that because I like my, I like to see it. And again, like I said, sometimes your tape goes over. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, I think you can kind of see here. That, yeah, there you go. You can see that my tape's over. So when that happens, I just like, it's no big deal. I still pull it up. I don't worry about like going and trimming it. I just pull it up, and then, and I usually just double check without getting a paper cut. I just double check that there's no stickiness because I don't want anything sticking unnecessarily to my project. This one doesn't have like a lot of matting on it from top to bottom because it would have been a weird measurement. I didn't want to put a weird measurement in the video, so it kind of is going to line up with the bottom for this one. Okay, so the top is done. So now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to be thinking through here, right? So we're thinking, okay, this is going to be folding, and it's going to be like this in real life, right? When we actually have it, this bottom piece is going to be upwards. So I want to make sure that if my paper is directional, this is the up. Okay, so if you need to, you know, do what you got to do to get it in the right direction. If you need to fold it over, if that's how your brain works, that's totally fine. For me, I just used non-directional paper for this. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do want it to line up with this top one. So I am going to look at this just because I am, oh, and now I have sticky stuff. Remember what I said? Yeah. Okay. I am going to line these two lines up on here, and I'm looking to see like, all right, I'm going to start here. Hopefully my head is not in the video. Good. And right here, if you do have some sticky stuff, which I do, I just kind of go like this because I don't want anything. And then I might even go through with powder, but okay, so now we are removing my little sticky notes here. And now we are going to actually like put our box together. So I'm not going to do the interior mats because some of these little tabs I want to cover up with the mats. So I did want to do exterior. What I also want to take note of is right here. Remember there's a hinge under here and there's a score. So I just want to, again, I want to like just kind of work with this because I do want it to score neatly. So I'm just going to use you could also use, like if you have a bone folder, you could use that too. But I want this to be neat right here. So I don't want it to like, you know, because this is what's going to bend. I like to use this to do this. So I'm just going to kind of put it towards this just so that it can bend neatly. Because this part is going to open. Okay. Okay. So So we're good. Okay, I still just want this, I just wanted this to be able to open, okay? So that's what we're doing here. Okay, so now we are gonna put our box together. So first, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna do the bottom first. And so how this is gonna work is, so remember, this is the top of our box, right? So we opened up our box. So now we're working on the bottom. And I want to basically like build the box. Now these little tabs, this little 1/4 inch tab, I do want to glue that to each other just to add extra stability. And this just keeps our lids from like closing in on each other. So it kind of creates a little bit of a border, like a barrier, so that when the box closes, so let me show you on this one. So you see here how there's a little lip, and that just keeps, because otherwise the box would like close too much and it might like, you know, close inside of each other. So this just stops it so that it has a nice, even, neat looking fold. Okay, so that's what our little 1/4 inch thing is. And we don't have it on the back because we didn't need it on the back, okay? So you wanna make sure, it really doesn't matter if you glue it like on top or on bottom. I do use glue for this part. I could use, you know, double-sided tape, but I just feel like glue is faster for this step. So, that is what I use. And also I like to have a little bit of time. So I'm looking here now to see like, okay, is this lined up perfectly? Can this curve over and this curve over? If yes, then we press down, okay? So that's what we're doing here. So we're gonna, we do want this to be as straight as possible. So, and Barely Arts glue dries pretty quick. I've heard art glitter glue dries even faster than that. I have it, but I haven't used it yet. So that's this side. And because I am, you know, always worried about my projects being like extra sturdy, I do go in with my bone folder because I'm a crazy person, and I do just press that in just to make sure. Okay. All right. So now let's build the rest of this box. So I'm going to move my little directions because they're getting in my way. So now we're going to tackle this corner here, and we're going to glue right here. And then we're going to use this little lip to make sure that our box is straight. And I'm looking at it in from this direction, but since you can't see, I'm basically looking right here to see like, okay, make sure nothing's sticking out, right? So we want to glue it, we want it to be right. I usually bend this just so that I know that I've gone in enough, and I'm looking here. And I'm also removing any extra glue because we know that happens. And I'm going to flip this over here. And then we're going to do that. Okay, so now our bottom is together. Sometimes I'll just fold this all the way over just so that I can hold it. Even though this is going to be up, I'll just push it down just so I can press really good. Okay, so now we have our bottom. So now what I want to do is I just want to make sure that these are, all the sides are pressed in, and I want to glue like them. So I usually just take these two and I glue them on top of here. So I just put a little bit of glue on here on both sides. And then I just like press and hold this on here for a little bit. That's basically what I'm doing. And this just adds more stability to our box. So we're just gonna, I like to squeeze this with my finger, and over here too. And then the bottom is done. And we're gonna do the same exact thing with the top. Okay, so I'm gonna put the top together, and then I'm gonna come right back, okay? Okay, so our box is now mostly together. We're almost done. So we've put together the bottom, and we put together the top, and we glued our little pieces here, and our box closes nice. It should meet. If it doesn't, then something is wrong. So I've got to rewind. So now that we have put all of our tabs together, as you can see the tabs on the inside. So that's why I wanted to wait to do our interior mats. So now, if you want, your box can like lay flat, you know, it can lay flat at this point. I don't worry too much about like, you know, this. it's okay. It happens. It's fine. It's the inside of the box. As long as, for us, we're looking for stability in terms of this part. So now we want to take our interior mats, and we're going to need 2 mats that are 8 3/4 by 7 3/4. And again, the width is this way, and then the height, if it's directional, that matters. And we're going to kind of put those here, and then we're going to also put that in here. And then we need 4 that are 8 3/4 by 1 1/8, and we also need 4 that are 7 3/4 by 1 1/8. And again, remember, if it's directional, we need to pay attention. And these are just gonna go, so the 8 inch is our width. So those are just gonna go inside of here. So they're gonna go, the 8 3/4 by 1 1/8 are gonna go here, 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 and here. And then our 7 3/4 by 1 1/8 are going to go on the sides. So they're going to go here, 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 and here. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come right back. Okay, so now we are all matted in the inside, and we're almost done. Our box is coming together. So now we're going to cut our decorative straps. So we're going to use 2 sheets of 10 by 1 cardstock, and this is an approximation. Like, these straps don't have to be exact. If you have something that's like, 9.5 by 7/8, that's fine. This is just kind of your own, how you feel things look. And basically what we're going to be using this for is to create our straps on the side of our box. And I did my straps just about like 1 1/4 from the edge on each side. So I would have this strap be like, I would line it up with my 1 1/4, which is right about here. And then the same thing on this side. I'd turn it around and then line it up the edge at 1 1/4, which is right about here. And that's just to make sure that it's kind of even. So you can use glue for this step. I'm going to use double-sided tape just because, again, like I said, I like double-sided tape, and for this especially, when I put it there, I do want it to stay there. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I do use 2 different double-sided tapes for this because one of these is 3/4 of an inch, and one of these is 1/4 of an inch, and my strip is just about 1 inch. So I do have to do 2 of them, and I don't want it to peel up. So I do want to make sure that there's tape on all of the sides. And the reason why I'm putting tape on all of this, because really, if you think about it, you only really need tape on this part, the top. You don't really need tape on the side, is because I'm actually going to, I'll show you in a second, but when I cut this, there were 2 little pieces like left over, 2 2-inch, like basically 2 by 1 inch pieces, and I want to use them to reinforce the little strap that's down here, just to make it a little sturdier, since that's the part that's going to be kind of going on and off of the Velcro. So that's why I am putting tape on this whole thing. If you're just going to do this, if you're just going to if you're not going to reinforce it, what I would do is, before you put the tape, I would basically line it up here, and then see about where it comes to this fold, and I would just kind of make sure that it's lined up with your finger here, and also here, and that it's relatively straight. So what you want to do is, I would curve it right here, kind of just make a crease, and then I would fold this all the way over. And then that way, when you're putting adhesive, I would only put it from here on. I would leave this without adhesive, because this is what I'm going to then use my Velcro dot to keep my box closed, right? So you do want it to be long enough that it covers both of these, but I mean, if it's up to here, it's okay, as long as it covers this and some. I like to give myself enough space to put like at least half of a Velcro dot right here. Also, if I wanted to use a magnet, you would put a magnet before you put this topping piece on, and then also underneath here. And I would also, like, again, cover it up. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to use this piece, and I'm going to put it under here just to reinforce this a little bit. And then I'm going to trim right here so that it's not sticky underneath. and then I'll put my Velcro down here. Okay, so does that make sense? So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for both of mine, and I just measure it twice. Just, you know, what if one side of your box is bigger than the other? It isn't, but it shouldn't be. But just in case, I just kind of do that, and then again, I'm just gonna reinforce that here, and I will, because I am, you know, get a little bit crazy with these things. I likely would also use my my little thing here, or I would use my bone folder. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to, like I said, I want this to be about 1 1/4 from the side, just because I want it to be even. So I like having a T-ruler. Highly recommend having one of these in your crafting area, because it saved me many a times. And I'm just looking, let me just show you just in case. So I'm looking at my ruler. Okay, there's no glare right there. And I want to make sure that it lines up, sorry for the beep, it lines up with my 1/4 inch, the side of it, which is right here. So do you see where it's right here? It lines up like that. So I want to make sure that this is lined up, it lines up here, and it goes to the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do one of these on camera. So I'm just going to remove the backing here. I'm not going to remove the backing for all of it. I'm just going to remove the backing on the top and just like fold it over just in case. I don't want to have it stuck down everywhere. I just want to make sure that I get it stuck down right on the top. So then I'm going to move this over to this side, and then that way it's not sticky down here, so I can place it. Okay, so I need to be able to see here, and I'm going to just put this right on top of here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put it underneath. But I'm going to hold it up. Okay, so I want my side to line up with this 1 1/4 inch, which is just about right here. I don't know if you guys can see it with the glare, but I also need to be able to see it. And I'm going to go right here where I folded. Hold this. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, super mega perfect, but I would like it to line up if possible. So I'm just going to do that just like that. Okay, and now that I have it on there, I'm going to just kind of just remove this and press it down. And then when I get to right here, I do not want this to stick, so I'm going to just lift it up like this. You see how this is still sticky? And then I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to use this just to make it, reinforce it, and also that way I'm not like wasting paper. So I am going to just put this right here, line this up, and then it does hang over a little bit, so I'm just going to take my pair of scissors and just cut that part off. And you know, if you want to like use decorative scissors to do this part, if you want it to be fancy, like all of this is style stuff now. Okay, so then I'm just going to I'm going to grab my Velcro, and I keep my Velcro together like this. And I'm actually gonna cut it in half, just because, like, I mean, it is big enough, but I don't want it to be hanging off of the bottom, do I? No, I will just line it up with the bottom here. So I actually take both of them off together while they're together, and I know that they match here. So I have both sides of the Velcro, and I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna put this right at the very edge, which I'm gonna hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and I'm just gonna put it right there, and then I'm gonna put it right like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to take it apart. Ooh, very sticky. And then I'm gonna press it here and press it here. So now I have Velcro there. Okay, and I'm okay with that. When I do my actual swap, I might use a magnet, but the Velcro works just fine. And be careful here, because as you can see, it's already like wanting to come apart there. So what I sometimes do when that happens is I will take some glue, and I will just put a little bit of glue on, like actually on this little section right here, and I'll just put like a little bit of glue, and I'll just like kind of do this just to make it sure that it's like it's gonna stay. And then when I'm decorating, I may put something else here, maybe not, but I just kind of put glue just to make sure that it doesn't rip. I don't want it to rip. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the other side off camera, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so our Velcro is on. So our box opens and closes. And when you're putting your Velcro on, make sure that your box is like lined up, you know, like this. Like make sure these edges are before you press down the Velcro. It's not a big deal, but those are just little things that make your project look nicer. And then the last thing we're gonna do is our little corners. And this one I had to kind of just figure out because she had a die that she was using, but I didn't want, again, like I said, I didn't want us to have to use a die. So this is what I did. So I cut out 8 circles. So the circles are, they're about 2, you could do 2 inches. This is like personal preference, but you basically need 8 circles that are between 1.5 to 2 inches wide. I cut these on my Cricut, but you can also use a paper punch. Actually, fun fact, I cut a lot of these. Something that I do to help myself save time on paper cutting is I cut out all these matting papers on my Cricut too. That way they're also perfect, like nothing's crooked. But anyway, okay. So if you want the Cricut file, let me know. If you know how to use your Cricut and you want the Cricut file, let me know. But anyway, okay, so these are just the first, these over here, I actually did 2-inch squares. But then for this one, I was using the 6x8 pad from Woodland Grove. So you see how these dots are slightly smaller. So I did use 1.75. And basically what you want to do is you want to fold these in half twice. So you basically want to fold it into a quarter. So what you could do, I have 2 here. So you could either just kind of, if your paper is not too thick, you can kind of just like eyeball it and just look at it here and be like, all right, this is just about half, and then just kind of squeeze it. I know sometimes you run the risk of your paper cracking depending on what kind of paper you're using, but this paper is pretty good. And then you want to fold it again in half this way. Okay, so now you have, your paper is in 4, right? And then what you want to do too is you want to fold one of these quarters into 1/8. Basically, you want to fold it in half again right here. So you just want to like push this forward and fold it onto itself. And then you want to like be in here, you want to just squeeze this in. Okay, so now what I have is basically like a corner. Do you see that? Okay, so let's do it again. This time I'm going to do it and I'm actually going to score it just in case you have paper that cracks. And I like to use my little scoreboard because I like to lean it upward so that I can see. And since my paper is 1 3/4, I'm actually gonna do 7/8 and 7/8. But what I did, if you're like not so good at math, I'm an engineer, so like math comes a little easier for me. I would take a scrap piece of paper, I would fold it in half, and then actually look at then use your scoreboard to know where to score it. So mine is showing me right here that the middle is at 7/8. So if you don't want to do the math, that's another like cheating way to do it, okay? So anyway, we're going to do this. We're going to score this at 7/8, right? And I'm going to be like, the reason I like to use a small scoreboard is because I would actually normally be leaning it toward me since I'm over here. Hi, I'm over here. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to show you here. So we're going to score at 7/8 in this direction, right? And then now I want to turn it and I want to make it like, make sure that it's like pretty flat. This does not have to be like absolutely perfect, but I do want this to basically be, you know, straight. So I'm going to, let me just look at it myself and lean it to myself so that I can actually see if it's straight, right? So you just kind of want to make sure that it's level, and then I'm going to score it at 7/8 again, right? And then I'm going to pick one of these sides and I'm going to turn it. And then I'm going to make it so that this is like in the middle, and I'm going to actually start from the point and just go up, and whatever score line it catches, which is actually another 7/8 right there. Okay, so now that I have score lines, I can easily fold it this way. I can easily fold it this way, and now I have my little score line in between, and that makes it easy for me to fold it inwards this way. Okay, hopefully that other angle helps you. So now I have a corner, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take your glue, and you're gonna put some glue right on the inside of one of these sides right here. Sorry for the garage. Of course, my husband comes home when I'm filming a tutorial. I'm right above the garage. So you're gonna hold this right here. And then I also like to glue this underneath, so you can glue this on either side. But I do like to put glue under here as well, just to make it stay. And I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to glue that. Okay, and I'm going to do it one more time just so you can see. I did all my other ones already here, so they're already here, ready and waiting. Let me just do this one more time. So again, we folded it this way, right? Then we folded it this way, and then we folded it in the middle of them. So here's another angle. This one is going in, and then it's going to the side. Okay, so hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, just put them in the description bar or DM me on Instagram. While that's drying, I like to put glue here. That way I can just hold it down once. And I'm just gonna hold that for a second. This is real time. Barely Arts glue. It's pretty quick. Do you guys use Barely Arts, or do you use art glitter, or do you use something else? I know some people use Aleem's tacky. People use Fabri-Tac. I know everybody's kind of like specific. I'm a Barely Arts girl. Okay, so now we have 8, and we have 8 corners. How perfect. So all you're gonna do is basically, and I like for this line to line up with the edge here. This is just personal preference, but what you're gonna basically do is stick that right on the corner. Isn't that so cute? So we're just gonna take our little glue here. We're gonna put glue on the inside all over, because this is gonna go on different sides of our thing. We're gonna make ourselves some little corner covers. And we're just gonna stick that right on there, and we're gonna hold it. And look how cute. Isn't that so cute? I don't know if when I do my real one, if I'll make these 2 colors match or not, but this is still super cute. I actually was thinking about like putting a metallic on this, but then I don't know, they don't fold that great. So then I was like, oh, maybe I should think again. Okay, so now we're gonna do that, and I'll be right back, and then we're gonna be done. Okay, so we have all of our corners, and I put them on here. Look at the bottom, so cute. The back, and then back to the top. And one thing that I did want to show you is I did draw like a picture of how the circles are scored, just in case you couldn't see since it was pink paper. So we're scoring it this way, and then we're scoring it here. And then we're folding it, and then we're folding this one with it like inside of itself, okay? So anyway, we're all done. So now we just have to embellish the box, which I am not gonna record because I have no idea what I'm gonna do, but I will put a picture probably maybe on my Instagram when this is done, or maybe if I get it done soon enough, I'll make it the thumbnail. No, I definitely won't make it the thumbnail because I wanna post this video now. So anyway, we have our little boxes here, and I hope that this was good. I hope that you guys understand. If you have any questions, let me know. And I am so looking forward. Sign up for the swap. I will put my Instagram info. It's always in the description bar. I do also have a P.O. box, so I think I will put my P.O. box in the description bar of this video just in case you want to join. The swap is open, but there'll be a whole nother video on swap. So if you've never done a swap before, I would definitely try to sign up on Instagram. That's normally where you can sign up for swaps. And anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully I did okay. Bye.